Hey y'all, it's Melissa and Todd with the Marshall Garden Co. and we're at the courthouse hanging out. But we thought we'd do a little Q&A and give some updates on how stuff's going.
It's really muddy and had rained yesterday at the place, so it's kind of new location.
New location.
Yeah. Got the yellow bricks behind us to show the courthouse.
Yeah.
They're very, very pretty.
Yeah, there's the farmers market going on downtown on weekends. So if you're our kind of people, usually garden people are farmers market people. So if you get some time, you should come and check out the farmers market. But we wanted to kind of give some updates on where we are with our project and talk about some milestones that we've accomplished and some things that we think are going to be coming up. And I am queen of making sure I have the questions that people have been asking and questions that we want to answer to you all. So we'll just do this Q&A style. That'll work?
Yeah.
So first we'll talk about the build. First question up, what did it feel like watching the concrete pour for the foundation?
It felt like we were really onto something. I mean, like, you know, we're moving, the ball's moving forward, you know. So
yeah,
you know, it's always, you know, you don't know where you're at in the game trying to get the progression, but having a foundation poured, you know, is really a step in the right direction there. It's, you know, it's something done.
Yeah, so like it's a little hot out here, but I guess I should say, yeah, we poured the foundation. So our good friends with Tex-Mex Construction, Alex and his crew, they poured the foundation a week ago now.
Yeah, it was about a week.
So about a week ago we got the foundation poured. Really exciting. To me it felt, I don't know, everything, it just makes it feel more real, and you can see all that you're investing your time and your money and your everything into. It was a big deal to see the actual foundation being poured. What's the biggest challenge so far for the build?
Just getting all the you know, all the minor details. Or, you know, you don't think about how many minor details go into something when you're building it. You know, it's always, I want to build this. It's concrete and, you know, structural, or, you know, all, you know, we're done. Well, there's a ton of small, you know, details that have to also be looked at, and, you know, those are all, you know, just takes time to look at them and make decisions on all the little fine details.
That's the truth. Every time, so Todd ordered windows, right? And then we had to figure out doors, and those are just regular things that come with it. But every time, I think I have a mini heart attack, like when you really realize windows cost what? Doors cost what? And we hadn't even got to a plant yet. So that's been a challenge, just getting used to, I don't know, we built out a really good budget, so we know what we can spend. We know what we have to spend to do this in a way that is going to live a long time. But my God, when you actually see the bills, it'll take your breath away.
and our building is here. It's gotten finished.
Yeah.
So the building's not built, but the shell of the building is on site.
Yeah. We're working with Metal Mart out of Longview for some of that, and so they've done a really good job. And just talking through some things with them, gosh, one of the challenges was like having trucking and all that stuff happen, and the reality is, in a perfect world, logistics works where everything is on time and a little bit early. But in real life, rain happens and things happen that'll slow a truck down, and you don't realize how many other things it slows down. And that's just the nature of business.
Minutes turn into hours when you have people sitting around doing nothing.
But thank goodness people have a whole lot of grace, and you know, the people that do any sort of business, that in time you kind of get used to rolling with the punches. But yeah, stuff happens and it gets a little wild. That was a challenge, but it was really cool to see how graceful everyone was in just managing the timing of big deliveries of stuff.
I think Alex with Tex-Mex, you know, he's used to, you know, those sorts of delays and sorts of, you know, just kind of ad-libbing on the spot. And so he was able to, you know, navigate that fairly well, and it ended up being out there until, you know, middle of the night, you know, unloading the thing. But the truck did finally get there, and they did get it unloaded.
Sure. The next question is, what design features are you most excited about? Since we got a building on site, that feels like a good question?
I like, my favorite part of the building, I think, is the windows at the very, very top that are going to allow light in. And then the slope of the building has all the water going to one side of the building. So that's kind of a nice feature.
Yeah, that is a really good feature. I hadn't thought about, like Todd and I, we've been talking about some things where we're going to do some French drains. I think that's the right terminology. But to be able to, like, it rained last night. That's why we're not out there, because it's just so muddy that I would have been really, really grumpy by the time we started. Recording. But we're doing some really cool things. You and Londale with McLaughlin's Dirt Work, they were really thoughtful in how, when they were scoping out the land, right, and making sure that the water drained in certain ways so that it will continue to fill up the pond and we can make good use of the most valuable resource, water. So that's a really cool feature that I don't think people will see every day, but it's one of those important things when you talk about, like, moving land.
Lots of water being used in a garden center, so
Mm-hmm.
it's important to conserve it and be good stewards of the land.
Yeah.
Love to get some rock on the land so that we can walk on it when it's wet, because right now we can't walk on it when it's wet.
Coming soon. There'll be another bill for that.
Yeah.
Any surprises so far with the build?
Not really. I mean, just trying to, I know everybody's excited to, see the place being done and all of that, but, people need to, stay off the property for the time being.
Yeah.
Until we get, things up and done.
Yeah.
And so that's been a challenge. We've had to put a fence up and stuff like that.
Yeah. It is one of those things where it's really cool to know that people are excited to see what's happening, but for all kicks and giggles, it is a construction site. So, we go down there all the time, and you see the truck ruts and all this kind of stuff, the tracks from people, and they're just wanting to see it, which is incredible.
And we have cameras on site so we can see, we see the,
So then we end up kind of laughing because you see where they're like, oh man, I shouldn't go back here. Anyway, I've asked this question over and over, but I like asking it. Why'd you choose this spot for the business?
I think, there's a lot of good reasons where it's at. So one, it's on a major thoroughfare. The Loop 390 is a pretty busy thoroughfare, but we're not right on 390. We are on 390. We're on the frontage there, but you don't have to be turning off of 390 into our place. You can turn off to a slower road and not worry about having to get run over. You always have to worry about, the people like to get going and they don't slow down. So, having been off of the side is nice for, our customer to be able to drive in and not worry about getting just, plowed over by somebody.
Yeah.
And then, deliveries and all that kind of stuff, that the property laid out such a way that we can keep our deliveries out of the way of the general public and all that kind of stuff. And then just the beauty of it. It's really, really, really pretty.
Yeah.
The pond has been reworked. It's really nice. It's lends itself. You want to be at a nice, beautiful spot when you're looking at all these flowers and shrubs and trees and all that kind of stuff.
For me, I grew up here in Marshall. And I love the history of Marshall. So I've been doing a deep dive into Fern Lake. And one fun fact, Fern Lake is one of the oldest roads and areas in Marshall. The young man, one of the families that lives right down there, they came by, and the young man, he is a young man because he's going to college right now. But he was so proud to share that Fern Lake Road is one of those places that was known for having Caddo Indians in that area. But it's a really historical place. It's cool to be right here at the courthouse. Now, I have seen just about every courthouse in Texas. Marshall has the prettiest one. We were walking around trying to figure out a place to sit down and do this before we go get our little farmers market on. And one of my ideas that popped into my head was like, man, we should do like garden tours where, like, just walking around and talking to people about why the plants that are planted around this courthouse are the right ones for our area, which happens because somebody knows that.
Yeah.
Marshall, there's a truck coming by, so we may have to pause. But anyway, Marshall's known for having like great gardens and great things can grow here, and so to be able to be a part of that and to,
It's got good dirt.
Special. We got good dirt.
Good dirt. Yeah.
You ready for some more questions?
Yeah.
About the vision. Look, visionary. What will customers experience when they first walk into the Marshall Garden Company?
Well, I'm not the visionary behind that. That would be her.
What do you want them to experience?
I would like to have you hit on it a minute ago about the building. One of the features of our building is our porch, and we have a big wraparound porch, 10 foot, in depth, and so that is supposed to be for being welcoming, having people feel like they're welcome when they show up on the front porch. And so that's really the feel. When you go in the door, I want it to be, have a indoor, welcoming feel.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main.
Yeah. When I want people to, like, when they get there, I want them to feel like, oh, I came somewhere and it was worth me coming here. Which means, like, I want it to be nice and clean. And
come in and sit down.
But I want you to feel like, yeah, I can sit down for a minute and take a load off and make some decisions about what I'm going to buy and where I'm going to put it and that sort of thing. I think when customers walk in, I want them to feel welcomed. I want them to feel like this place is ours, right? That's important to me.
And I want them, if they need help, to be able to, feel comfortable asking for, hey, can you help me with this? Or can you help me, or you point me in the right direction for this item I'm looking for, and you get, put to where you want to go,
yeah,
kind of directed that way, and so you can find what you want.
So the next question, Todd, it's a redo on a question to see if we got a better answer. Describe what you're building in 3 words.
3 words.
3 words.
You would think I'd have all these questions already.
We've tried to answer this one every time.
Looked at them and read them. I didn't get to do that.
I cheated.
So 3 words. Beautiful, relaxing.
One more. I'll ask this question again, so you.
I don't know. I have to think about that 3rd word.
So my 3 words: grow something remarkable.
Oh, yeah, grow something remarkable.
I cheated. I had time to look at the question. Yeah, grow something remarkable. A garden tip. 1 second. There's a beautiful Cadillac going down the road.
Going a little fast for around.
A little fast.
Around the square.
Somebody should tell him the police are right there.
He was in a hurry.
The next question, Todd. A garden tip that you'd like to share. Last night we had the kickoff of my class reunion, and my hubby was giving out good gardening tips to people when they ask. So a garden tip you'd like to share.
Get a great shovel.
That's a good one.
Don't cheap out on shovels.
That's a great tip.
Get a good shovel.
The gardening tools can be expensive, and sometimes you'll see stuff and it's not as expensive, and you feel like, oh man, I'm getting a deal. I have bought snips that were like $5 or something like that, and when I tell you, they rust so fast. And the rust isn't what gets me, Todd, because the reality is you can sand that rust off and oil your tools up, but what gets me is those suckers won't stay sharp, and when they're inexpensive, you can't sharpen them. I don't know what that's made out of. That, like, I got those little cheap ones, but boy, you can. And we done bought every sharpener that exists. Todd has sharpeners, and when you buy some of that,
if you're only digging
quality,
6 inches, get the cheapest shovel you can. If you're going further than that, you're going to want a better shovel.
That's a great tip. That is a great tip. So I feel like I am a gardener's gardener, but I didn't know nothing about digging a hole until I met Todd Johnson, because let me tell you something, when he taught me you do it this way and you need a better tool and this, that, and the other, or the right shovel for the right dig.
The right shovel.
That's a great tip.
If you dig enough holes, you'll know that there's different shovels for different holes.
Yeah, that's a good tip to give folks. I am all about gardening and trying to make it as cost effective as possible, but there are some things that I do think, like, if you're going to spend the money on something, you want to spend it on tools and you want to spend it on dirt. I had a master gardener teacher, Dr. Masimba. He's come to stuff for Harrison County because he is just a big deal and he knows everything about vegetable gardening. But one of the things that he teaches is you can grow a weaker plant in good soil, right? So if you go buy a tomato plant and it's a little straggly and it's struggling along, if you have good quality soil, it'll grow better. I think having good soil and good tools, they will save you a world of pain. So my gardening tip though, I got two.
Get them.
Say it again.
Get them.
So one of my gardening tips, last night we were talking to one of my classmates, Maine and his wife, and he bought her a pear tree, plum tree. And it's so exciting because I love old nasty plum off of a tree. It's delicious. And so I think they must have planted it this past spring, which is awesome. But one of the tips I was able to just give her last night was, when you plant fruit trees, a lot of the times you need two, right? So some plum trees and pear trees and peach trees, a lot of peach trees are self-fertile, which means a little bumblebee or butterfly can fly across that one tree and fertilize the flowers and you get fruit. But some of them, they need another tree so that they can cross-pollinate. In Marshall right now, if I were going to buy a fruit tree, I'd go to CJ's because he is so knowledgeable that he will be able to tell you this one will self-pollinate versus if it needs a partner in crime to be able to make you fruit. But my tip about fruit trees is, a lot of the times plant two. So when you're telling your hubby, hey, I want a fruit tree, go on, say, boo, get me two.
Get two holes to dig.
It's a good tip for now, because the reality is a lot of times we think about planting trees in the springtime because everything's blooming and pretty, but one of the best times in East Texas and across most of the South to plant a tree is right now in the fall. There's cool enough weather, it's wet enough that your tree can establish, and by the spring you've got a head start. So if you're thinking about doing something with fruit trees, I'd get one in the ground now. My other tip, we were talking about dirt. God made dirt. As you're cleaning up your garden, if you're doing some vegetable gardening, because I got a lot of favorites, but one of my favorite things to add into my vegetable garden in the fall is worm castings, right? So say you've dug up your summer garden and you're ready to plant cabbage and broccoli and all that good stuff for the fall time. When you dig up that soil, be sure to break it up real good and add some worm castings. And I want to give a shout out to another company that I absolutely love. They are called Work Hard Worms. I'm shouting them out because if you are gardening in East Texas, that is your magic. So I love worm castings. And when I tell you they got it, they got it. So I ordered some.
And where are they from? They're
here in Marshall.
Right here in Marshall.
They're called Work Hard Worms. I pray to God that we get to partner up with them in some ways. I think that we will. We'll find some way to work with them because their product is that good. But just a month ago, I ordered some online because I told myself I always buy worm castings and I will spend the money on it because I told you, good dirt. But you literally buy these bags of worm casting. They will ship them to you because they shipped it to me all the way to Cedar Hill. But they also, I think they have some options where if you want to go pick up bulk, they probably have some options to do something like that. But you add that worm casting into your raised beds or your planters or containers where you're doing especially fall vegetables, you got yourself something. I added it into my garden and I was very, very pleased. So if I had another tip, it's when you're doing your fall garden, worm castings. And if you're in Marshall or Jefferson or Carthage or somewhere in this little 903 area, work hard worms for your worm casting. You will be very, very satisfied.
I'll tell you, one of the things that I really liked yesterday was one of Melissa's classmates came up and showed us a cucumber she was growing.
Yeah.
So, one of the things we love seeing anything you're growing.
Yeah.
If you have pictures or video of stuff that you've done, please share that with us. We love seeing it.
Yeah, on the Facebook page, it'd be cool to have people start sharing some of their pictures. Lately, I've been getting a lot of like private messages with questions or like, hey, I want to grow this or I want to grow that, and I hadn't thought I should ask some of them if they would be willing to share some of their pictures and their progress and that kind of stuff. Because it is cool to see it. It's cool to see it.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
It is really nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. My class, we started our class reunion last night, and to have a classmate be like, girl, you inspired me to grow my cucumbers, and now I'm working on get my watering situation figured out. I'm gonna have to like help her, like, here's what I would buy to do some irrigation on my little garden, because that was pretty special.
It was special. It was real special.
I got a few more questions because the sun is just, I got the glow.
We got a nice little breeze though. It's not bad.
It is a nice breeze. Alia would be like, the sun is sunning. The next couple of questions, we got just 3 more. How are you balancing building the garden center and everyday life?
Well, that's not easy. We're 2.5 hours from home.
Yeah.
Building this, and my work is pretty demanding. So, it's difficult. But I tell you what, you do is you trust people who are here and that you've hired to do things and partnered with, and you put your faith and trust in God and the people that are around you. And if you come across someone who doesn't work out for you, move away from that person and get a note. Don't be scared to make a new relationship and build a new bond, because you can't do this alone.
Yeah.
We can't build this garden center by ourselves. We have to have help, and so we have to trust the people we have to help us.
That's right. For me, so Todd is still working full time, and for all kicks and giggles, he is the visionary and the brain and the muscle around how to build stuff out. But this is my full-time job now. That's an announcement.
Yes, it is.
Marshall Garden Co. is officially my full-time job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's something. But balancing is...
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But balancing stuff out, for us as a couple, part of this is us kind of building our structure for here's how we do business together and here's how we do family together. And we hadn't always done the best at that, but we keep working on it.
It's a work in progress.
We keep working on it, and balance is hard because the reality is I could garden 24/7. So I like to be like, hey, Melissa, cut it off. I don't care about your peppers. Or Melissa, cut it out. I don't care about that new variety of Texas sage that is coming out. That the balancing part, it is its own magic.
And there's a difference between running the business and gardening. I think you gotta separate the two and say, there's a business side of this that's one thing, and gardening is still a different piece of it. It's really two different things.
Yeah, I was talking.
I am not a gardener. That's why I say that. I do know a lot about business. I just don't know a whole lot about gardening.
And he studied a whole lot about horticulture, but
a little bit.
For me, because we talked about this the other day, Todd and I did. I was like, hey, I can't take the fun out of my gardening and this be my business. So figuring out that balancing part of this, it is important. And I think one of the things that I think is going to set me personally up for success in my business is making sure we have these components where we help people learn about gardening. A week ago, was it 2 weeks ago maybe, I came and went to, there's an awesome garden club here in Marshall. If you like gardening, you should join the Green Thumbs Up Garden Club. And there's a wonderful lady. Her name is also Melissa, because the Melissas be gardening. But she started this gardening club when she moved to Marshall from North Texas, and she wanted to have a group where they could talk gardening. And so to be able to incorporate like these opportunities where you can just hang out with the gardeners, I think that's going to be really, really good for me. As far as like balancing the fun of gardening and then the work of running a business related to gardening.
Yeah.
Next question, what role has community support played in the project?
Well, it's back to that building something remarkable or growing something remarkable. We have made it a part of our key tenet of our business to support the community.
Yeah.
And we like our youth part of the community. We like to help grow our youth, and so supporting their causes is important to us. I think Melissa saw the other day about a Marshall fishing team, and
yeah.
She asked me about, hey, what do you think about doing a sponsor on that? I said, yeah, sure, let's do it.
Yeah.
So that's our first official sponsorship there as a Marshall Garden Company. We sponsor her.
We better sell some more T-shirts.
the local fishing team.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a whole lot more of that. I mean, that's part of a business to both of us is the give back.
Yeah.
And so it's not just you can't just take in life. You have to be able to give back, and we want to be a part of that community.
Yeah.
That builds a community. So that's very, very important to us.
That's one of the things that I'll have to make sure I'm balancing. So my career was in nonprofit, and I can think of a million ways to give back to the community, which is a great quality of mine, but I have to give myself some balance. We were at the football game last night, and I absolutely want to support and be a part of youth sports programs in some cool ways, and sponsoring some things in some cool ways around that. But I probably came up with 100 ideas. One of them is really, really good. I'm an
FFA kid, so I like the FFA. We want to support the future farmers of America as well.
That's right. But one of the things, community support, I think about, one of the things I'm most proud of so far in this project is that we have made some big steps and kind of checked some of it. You create these milestones in your business plan, and as you check those off, one of them was to engage local businesses and local small businesses in building this out. And it's really cool to have worked with Londale and his team, and to be working with Alex and his team. And those are people from Marshall who graduated from Marshall High School. It is really, really cool for us to be helping each other grow our businesses. I take a lot of pride in that. And it's people starting a business and who are getting questions from other couples who want to start businesses. We said that was one of our goals, to engage local people in doing this, and you have to make yourself do that. Gosh, we very well could have called a company from anywhere to do.
We could bring million contractors from Dallas in to come do what we want done.
But that
and
ain't how we want to do this.
That's not at all.
Because there's so many great businesses here in town, and I don't know. It's just, I don't know. We decided that was one of our values, so we have stuck by that better than I even dreamed we would be able to early on. But we were able to do that because we made a commitment to that.
Yeah.
The other thing, community, I think about the gardening club here in town, to have some time to be around that group. It was an hour-long meeting. They had Mary's Heirloom Seed. That's an East Texas business that your sister, oh, it's time. We're gonna let that chime for a minute, and I'm gonna sit back and get out of the sun.
It's gonna be 10 chimes.
10 chimes.
10 chimes. Let me hit stop.
No, it'll be fine. Isn't that cool that it still does that though?
Yeah, I think it's a little ahead of schedule.
A little bit, I think so.
It's about a minute early. Well, maybe it takes a minute to do it, so maybe that's why when it ends, it's exactly 10 o'clock.
I don't know.
Don't know.
It's nice when you sit back in this shade. I sit here all day.
I never thought about it. Is the first chime 10 o'clock, or is it the last chime is 10 o'clock?
I don't know.
I have to look that up.
I don't know. Was that 10?
Yeah. So it seems they've set this one to the last chime is 10 o'clock.
That's pretty cool.
But that would mean that every time that it would have to take into consideration of how long the chimes are, or when to start the chimes.
I don't know that it's that accurate.
That would make it complicated.
That sure
on the
would.
clock.
I don't know that time is that accurate anywhere. But so we were talking about community support, and I had a couple things I wanted to share. I got a lot of gratitude for the gardening club in town. They brought in Mary's Heirloom Seeds, who your sister she didn't connect me to him, but she told me about him a few years ago. And when I tell you Todd's sister, baby, she could grow the thing.
And she's all the way in North Carolina.
And she's in North Carolina, but there's a local small town Texas business that's doing heirloom seeds, and it's good seeds. And I don't want to call other seeds bad, but there's some quality things that Mary brings that are special, and for her and her family to be committed to that is really, really cool. And then the last group I wanted to shout out was just the local Chamber of Commerce. We joined the Chamber of Commerce, and their grace and responses to us, we don't need a whole lot today. We can't go have a ribbon cutting till we have a business. But to have them be so responsive and so receptive and encouraging to us, that means a whole lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The last question, and then we will get out of here. What's next after the foundation? Any upcoming milestones that you want to share?
Yeah, I think the building is complete. Kalani over at Metal Mart, he got all that done. I think they've been great to work with. I would recommend talking to those guys if you ever want to build a steel building. They were told to me by Alex at Tex-Mex Concrete. They were recommended from him. Great recommendation. And I think that's one of the things you got to take is you start building these relationships, and you just ask the people and see who they have dealt with. And so that has worked out really well. It's so far so good anyhow. They're very responsive, and all of that. So the building will start being erected in about a week. 3 weeks from today, hopefully the building will be done. We got windows that are ready to go. Those should be ready to be picked up at the end of the week.
Yeah.
And then the doors and all that kind of stuff will be going in.
So we think we're going to have a structure up in the next month or so. And that'll be another big milestone for us. Another one that I wanted to share, we've been really sharing a whole lot of stuff on social media and lots of tips. So one of the things that I want to encourage people to do is to spread the word about our Facebook page and Instagram page, because I try really hard to keep folks updated there. And then the only other thing is, I guess, milestones are that we're thinking through when we'll be able to offer things like pop-ups and maybe some like coaching sessions and some things like that for folks that are interested in starting gardens. My hope is once we, over the next couple of months, to set aside some time, that if there are some local Marshall people who want to start a garden and they need some garden coaching here in town, to make myself available to do some of that in Marshall, because you get a lot of people that want to start a garden and they're like, girl, I don't even know what to buy, I don't even know where to where to get started. So there'll be some more information coming out about that. And
I think one of the other things, you know, that we haven't really touched on is the length of time that this stuff comes together.
Yeah.
And so we, you know, I think it'd be, you know, you can, I guess it wouldn't be wrong, I guess, just to open up very, very quickly somewhere. But we really didn't want to do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to do it designed from ground up.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, you know, renting a place out or something like that. So,
and part of it is just how the agriculture industry works. If you want high quality plants, there is a waiting period to even get into the business of doing that.
Some of this stuff is year lead time on stuff.
Yeah, it's wild to think about. Like, COVID feels like a lifetime ago, but it was like not very long ago, and how that impacted the industry in a way where, you know, if flowers don't get to grow a season, or if like a cold winter happens and it kills off a growing season, like you don't have as big of trees to choose from, or as big as shrubs. So some of that takes a little bit of time. But we will do our best to keep you updated on milestones. The biggest physical thing is that there will be a structure in about a month or so. And just keep following us online, keep spreading the word about what we're doing, keep on praying us through this. And if you're feeling fancy, buy a shirt.
There you go.
Y'all, happy gardening. I appreciate y'all. We love y'all. And that's all I got, Todd. Anything else on your end?
I'm good, Melissa. Thank you.